Okay. So
And now
we are right now live.
Mm-hmm. So this is the event. I can share the event. Here we go. Right now. And now on Google Plus, and from there I'll get the link.
All these things happen on Google Plus. That's.
So Eric, did you support Con Man?
I was actually filling out. I don't have an Indiegogo account.
Yeah,
so
I
currently
signed
signing up.
I signed in through Facebook and then supported. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was weird because I read like some short article earlier, and it didn't even mention, like, it talked about the entire plot of the show, but didn't even mention that it was an Indiegogo.
Eric, I think you're on your other microphone right now.
On.
Oh, I guess you are on that one.
Yeah, either you're on that one, or we were just attacked by like giant ping pong balls shot.
Do I just sound horrible, or what's up?
Sounds very roomy.
Does it?
We can't really recreate the magic that was yesterday unless Eric invites all those people back over to his house.
So I'm gonna hit tweet.
True. Which I can't do because my girlfriend is working right now. So.
Okay, so I've tweeted this out. We're already live, and
I am retweeting it.
Cannot center myself today. What if I just move in the frame? Is that any better? Whatever. My lighting always sucks. But
you can't center yourself. Have you tried Hare Krishna?
No, I have tried meditation though. Anyway.
Yeah. Isn't there a podcast about what you're doing for that, or I don't?
What, a quest for peace, maybe? I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna actually start shooting that at the actual GFQ headquarters in April. I'm gonna run through like 4 guests in one day, and we're gonna send it out weekly. But nobody has heard that officially just yet, so shh.
Thank goodness you've only said it on a live broadcast that's going out to literally twos of people.
Well, right now it says 0 viewers. I'm not gonna worry about it. There's a links button here. What's this link button do? Oh, there's a YouTube page. Send that out.
How do you get to the? Are you going to watch? Yes, I'll watch this.
I made a mistake in the invite.
That's how it always is when I get it from Tom too.
All right, so I'm just gonna. You guys ready?
I'll retweet it again.
All right.
All right. Now, yes, I have been ready.
All right. The following is a recreation of Podcast Without Pretense. Last time on Podcast Without Pretense.
It feels like we've literally done this already.
Deja fucking vu.
I still don't think we have to call him again.
So, hi. If you are watching this and or listening to it, and you think that what we're going to be saying over the next course of however long we do this sounds familiar, it's because we actually did record a full episode of Podcast Without Pretense, the award-adjacent show that we do that was all about, just essentially the movie Evolver, which was what we watched for this week.
Mm-hmm.
But as it turns out, 2 of us, Ayaz and myself, had such awful video and audio feeds going into that show that it did not even meet our considerably low standards.
Yes, I actually was. Here's the story about how I found out the audio and video quality was so jacked up. I heard Jonathan Strickland during yesterday's episode, and he sounded a little bit warbled. And obviously I couldn't hear myself back until this morning when I was like, hey, I got to talk to Andrew. Let me check if he's actually online right now. So I checked the live site at gfqlive.tv to see if he's doing a live stream. But our episode is running, and it's me on a 320 by 240 postage stamp style video, and it sounds like I just have to simply disconnect my mic and put it back in because I have Skyped the fuck out. Sounds horrible.
They already posted us when you saw it. I thought maybe he just sent you a link.
No, it was running live on the stream. It wasn't posted yet.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh shit! There's no way I'm going to tell people, hey, tell you what, take some earbuds, put them in, and listen to this for an hour. So I asked these 2 fine gentlemen to join me again tonight to shoot at 8:30, an unsanctioned GFQ session because I didn't know if they were doing a show, so we're doing a hangout. So we got 4 viewers. 4. Hi, everybody, live.
So we should probably introduce ourselves because I don't think we did that while we were explaining why we're shooting this again.
Yes.
I'm Jonathan Strickland.
I'm Ayaz Akhtar.
I'm Eric Sandine.
And together we form a team that you've already seen.
And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to recreate word for word how yesterday's episode went. So
that means Eric has to explain what we do.
Can I just listen to the other episode and then just try to like spit it back out as I'm listening?
Actually, here's the sad thing is that Eric could have just as easily said, "Can you just cut my performance from yesterday?"
Yeah, I would have been fine. Edit it in.
Yeah, because Eric's video looks a little worse today than it did yesterday.
That's true. Eric's video has taken a decline. 2 of the 3 of us are good again. So what should have happened is we should have called in on Google Hangouts to GFQ. Eric should have called in yesterday, and things would have been fine.
Yeah. So here's the deal. This show originally was about nothing. Actually, that's not true.
That's not true.
Originally, this show was about decluttering your life.
That's true.
Organizing your life, which we did for, I think, 5 episodes.
4.
4 episodes.
It was 4. The 5th was not Uncluttercast.
So this show has been marked by 2 things: inconsistency, both in content and recording, because we almost never have 2 episodes go up in 2 weeks, and now here we are doing 2 in 2 days. And the other thing it's marked by is the fact that after we went for quite a few episodes where we didn't have any particular agenda and it was just us talking literally about anything that occurred to us while we were online, I decided perhaps we could have a little bit of focus to our discussions by setting forth a challenge. And that challenge was based on the fact that as the generation that we are in, we consume a lot of media from a lot of different sources, and a lot of times we do it simultaneously. So we'll watch a show, but we'll also have a laptop or maybe a smartphone or a tablet or some combination of all of those going at the same time, which means our attention is completely divided and we're not dedicating it to any particular task at 100%. And that means we miss out on a lot of things. And I wondered if we could actually make ourselves pay attention to something, and how long could we devote our attention to a particular piece of media content. And I decided the best way to test it was to pick some of the worst things we could find on Netflix and just see how long we could endure that before giving up. So the task is you have to watch whatever it is we pick with no distractions, no second screens, no alcohol, because I can't drink. So if I can't drink, these other 2 assholes can't drink. The third one was that we couldn't have another person in the room, or at least not have someone that we're constantly talking to, because that's a distraction from our full attention. And then just mark down how far we got before we said, you know what, screw this. I'm going to have some distractions because this is not worth my time. There are no winners. There are only losers. Because after you shut down, you have the option to continue watching the crappy content we've picked, but you can have as many distractions present as you want. And then we get together and have a discussion about it. That is what we do in a gigantic nutshell.
And here's the funny thing. Because Eric had sent out an email saying somebody was looking for our first episode where we talked about a movie which was about Rock and Roll Frankenstein, which I believe I picked because I thought the title was awesome.
Yeah, I think so. I remember you picking it, definitely.
And so here's the deal. So Jonathan just said that there was a period of time where we just talked about nothing. That was 40 episodes.
Yeah.
40 episodes where this thing earned the title Podcast Without Pretense, where we had there was no plan whatsoever. And I kind of missed that. I think I want to go back to that at some point, every now and then, be movieless. But 40 episodes of nothing.
Yeah,
okay?
I actually got to the point where I started making Google spreadsheets with a couple of potential topic items we could cover, because I got tired of that was 40 episodes of mostly me saying, so, hey, have you heard about such and such?
Well, and then you made the spreadsheets and neither of us read them, so
it
works out really well.
It continued to be, so have you heard about such and such, except it was no longer from the top of my head. Now I actually had a document to work from.
Right.
So we're working on rebuilding the archives, by the way. I believe this is episode 46. It's called Sid Vicious's Butt. You can find it somewhere on archive.org. We'll set it up. I think Eric's in charge of the process, so he got suckered into it.
I volunteered myself. It was my own fault.
So, Eric, you picked this week's movie, and it was Evolver, right?
I did, yes, and it was.
How long? So normally we explain how long we watched the movie before we went to our distraction. I made it 22 minutes, 28 seconds. How about you?
I made it 12 minutes, 12 seconds, shortly after the opening credits had stopped. How about you, Eric?
Mine was 28 minutes even, pretty much. Yeah.
So, again, there are no winners here.
No.
I mean, it's really just to show, are you capable of dedicating your attention to something that's really not worthy of it? And I would say that Evolver certainly meets that criteria. It is not worthy of your attention.
So, who would like to describe the movie in our sewing circle?
I'll give a very quick explanation of it. So you've got a hotshot video game player who apparently is really good at a particular virtual reality game. This movie, by the way, came out in 1995. So we're talking early 90s virtual reality technology, like virtuality stuff, like Dactyl Nightmare level graphics. So truly crappy looking graphics and gameplay. Anyway, he's trying to win a contest that the company that made this computer game is sponsoring. And the winner will get to play a game called Evolver, but no one really knows what that actually is. He ends up having his record-setting run impeded by a girl who jumps into the game willy-nilly, distracting him, and costing him his in-game character life. His score ends up falling just short of the top score, but he hacks into the company's computer system to find out. He then alters the scores so that he wins, and he wins Evolver. And Evolver turns out to be an interactive robot that's sort of like a laser tag robot, and it has 4 levels of difficulty. And each time you defeat Evolver, it evolves to the next level, and no one has ever beaten level 4. As the story unfolds, you discover that Evolver, while it gets more difficult to defeat, also becomes a bit more psychotic and starts to actually try to kill its opponents, as opposed to just shooting little fake lasers at them, like infrared beams at them.
Psychotic and sassy.
Yes.
Eventually sassy.
In fact, it's not even shooting infrared beams. It's shooting like little ping pongs originally, and then starts picking up steel ball bearings at level 2. So this son of a bitch means business. Mm-hmm. As it goes on, the characters are wondering why the hell is this psychotic robot starting to hurt and or kill people, and they do some investigation. They discover that the guy who created Evolver originally was developing a weapon for the military. That weapon ended up being uncontrollable and killed a bunch of soldiers in a training exercise. He then decided to adapt said deadly program for video games, because that makes sense. And so the robot continues to get more and more dangerous. The company comes in to take over the robot. The robot escapes, evolves to its final form, has a final confrontation with our hero, who by this time has reconciled with the girl who ruined his chances at the beginning, and now they are a love interest, because that's how life works. And the hero kills the bad guy. End of story. That's the basic plot. And to be fair, there's not a lot that happens in this movie. The stuff that happens is spaced out. So we talked about it in our previous episode, how if you cut all the way to, say, the last 15 minutes of this movie, it goes batshit crazy and is awesome. Mm-hmm. But for the first hour and however many minutes of it, it's pretty dull. It's terrible acting, and it looks like the 90s threw up on it.
So, Eric, you got anything to say before I read my notes of fury? And by the way, if you've never seen this show and you're like, we just got it on this Google Hangout, we just saw it on Twitter, we are allowed to take notes because that's not technically a distraction. Jonathan started this, and I've taken to it because when a movie sucks, I need to be doing something. So I have many notes.
Yeah, I think actually Rock and Roll Frankenstein was when I started taking notes during the movie, and at first, Ayaz and Eric, they objected, saying that was a distraction and therefore I had violated the rules, because I had stated for Rock and Roll Frankenstein I watched that whole goddamn movie without any distractions. My point is that by taking notes, you're focusing even more on the movie. You're paying more attention because you're thinking about what you're seeing, and then you're writing it down so that you can remember it later. Anyway, what are your notes, Ayaz?
Unless, Eric, you want to say anything before I go on my tirade?
I mean, you can go with your notes, actually. You can go on your tirade, because I remember it from last night. It was pretty good.
Okay. So, any laughs that Eric and Jonathan do are purely for reenactment purposes and not actually funny. So, let's start with my paper notes, because I cannot use a computer for my notes until I run to the second screen here. So, Evolver. It's a Trimark movie. That's a sign of low quality. We've watched a lot of shitty movies, and they start off with Trimark. A Evolver title comes on, and I wish I could fast forward / watch at 2x speed, because the intro credits take forever. It's Cassidy Ray's first picture. I think she was in Models Inc., the Melrose Place spinoff, which was a spinoff of 90210. I was right, by the way. She was the girl in Models Inc. If you've never seen Models Inc., it means you're like most of America, so don't feel bad.
Or at least Jonathan and I.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys didn't know Models Inc. It was a spinoff of a spinoff. I mean, it was like if the Ropers had a spinoff. But anyway, so the credits are still going. I'm getting stared at by my dog. She is way more interesting than this green CG. In the beginning of the movie, we have this green representation, this polygon being built in front of us of what will be the Evolver robot. But it's about, I'd say, a good 5 minutes of this opening credits stuff, by the way. Oh, and this movie, by the way, is in a 4:3 aspect ratio. So, awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the points I made, was that this movie looks like it was made for TV. For a while, I was thinking that it might have been a made-for-TV movie, but it has some violence in it. It gets more intense as the movie goes on. There is, death depicted on screen. Mm-hmm. There's nudity in the movie, and there are several occasions of F-bombs being dropped throughout the entire film. So at that point I was like, well, this obviously wasn't made for television. It just looks like it, and the acting is bad TV movie quality acting. Actually, I said that the acting felt like it was the kind of acting you would see in a typical Saturday morning cartoon serial commercial. That was the kind of acting we were getting.
This movie was so bad that Eric missed the nudity.
Yeah. No, I missed the nudity. I didn't even know there was any, and I know exactly what scene you're talking about.
It's and we'll get to it. It's called Operation Snatch. Don't get ahead of me. All right. So we get this open. We're in an arcade, and this guy's playing a video game, a VR game. The headset still looks somewhat modernish, but it's chunky. So think like an Oculus Rift, but like a little bit bigger. Kyle Baxter is our hero. He's the gamer. He's played by Ethan Embry. Everyone knows him from Can't Hardly Wait. He was briefly considered to be Nightcrawler in the X-Men movie. He was not Nightcrawler. Yeah.
So what you mean the one where Alan Cumming played Nightcrawler?
Yeah. Ethan Embry was actually mentioned a couple of times for that.
They made the right decision. Whoa.
Well, Kurt Wagner was not played by Kyle Baxter. So let's get that.
We should also mention that the VR game that he's playing doesn't appear to have any discernible rules to it. Like there's this crowd of kids that are all watching as he's playing, because he's trying to break a record, and they're all reacting as they're watching his perspective. Presumably, I mean, the way the camera angle is set, we're looking at him on the pedestal, and then everyone surrounding him behind him. So we don't really see what he's seeing at that point, and they're all like, ooh. So there's got to be like a director right off camera going, okay, now he's done something really fucking awesome. Say yay! So all of that's going on. Meanwhile, whenever it cuts to the game, it's him walking around, like, not even a maze, just like little crossroads. Mm-hmm. A robot occasionally will show up, and then he fires in the general direction of the robot. His aim is awful, and then the robot usually just wheels out of the way, and everyone's like, oh, you were so close. I'm like, this is the worst depiction of a game I've ever seen. And I've played those early 90s VR games, and they were bad, but they were better than that.
Well, yeah, because this game, they're trying to show us in 95 how awesome a game could look, so it's in full color. And, by the way, when he's firing a laser, it's the slowest moving laser in the history of any video game. You can actually see it, and it comes at the robot, and the robot has about 4 seconds to react.
It's kind of like the glacial laser from Aqua Teen Hunger Force when Enigma and form together and fire just a giant block that just very gradually moves across the screen.
That'd make more sense. So Kyle Baxter blames Cassidy Ray for losing the game because apparently this is now a two-player game. They don't show us the second cage that she just walks into, but she's allowed to do that. Cassidy Ray just moved from Ohio, and she's wearing overalls because it's 1995. You wore overalls back then.
So this is the girl. This is the girl that costs him the high score.
Yeah, this is the actress because I actually know her name because we don't have her character name just yet.
Yeah.
So
we also determined that we don't know where she moved to. She moved from Ohio. But we have not determined where they are.
She's just like in northern Ohio now. They don't bother to tell us that. So we go to Cybertronics. This is some kind of robot developer, some kind of robot development lab. Q from the Next Generation is in this. Oh, he's a scientist who makes his coffee in a beaker. How original. His name is Russell Bennett, no relation to Randall Bennett. If you watched and you listened to the live episode, I accidentally called Randall about 30 times. So I'm probably going to do it again, so I apologize in advance.
And we found it funny every time.
It was true because it was accidental. Because the idea that Randall could be a scientist making robots that would first he worked for the military and then repurposed it sounds like Randall.
Actually, yeah, that totally could be Randall. First of all, maybe you should explain who Randall Bennett is for the people who don't know.
I work for the guy.
Eric, you do some talking. Who the hell's Randall Bennett?
Randall Bennett is the guy that runs VidPresso, and he's I don't know, the man's kind of brilliant when it comes to video production and it's
like a serial entrepreneur.
Things generally.
He started the 404 for CNET. He basically comes up with like 80,000 ideas like every day, and it takes him effort to not quit doing what he's doing. So I applaud him because he's a genius, but he also seems like the kind of guy that would do this. So also I support for Randall too.
Yeah,
I think that's the perfect way to put it. It takes him effort to not stop doing what he's doing.
Yeah, you guys both worked for him in the Tech V days, and Tech V, to bring me into this, I never worked for Randall, but Tech V was the first video show to have me on as a guest.
And that's how I got to meet Jonathan, and then we did a short-lived show called Technonauts, and then we did a short-lived show called Uncluttercast, and now we're doing the longest-running podcast in the history of the three of us doing a podcast together.
The history of the three of us doing a podcast.
All right. So Russell Bennett is the name of Q from the Next Generation. So Kyle Baxter's a hacker. He's got a sister whose name is Allie. There's a single mom raising them. Kyle's got issues with his mom. He hacks into Cybertronics to see if he won the home contest that is, to win and evolve a robot. Now Dwight is equal to a jock who's owed money. So back when Kyle's at the arcade, this jock puts money on Kyle to lose. Kyle loses, and Kyle's best friend Zach has to pay up. Kyle, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just to kind of give a little more context to give you an idea of what these characters are like. They're all stereotypes. The mom is a hardworking single mom who's also going out a lot, so there's resentment from both of her kids that she's not home very much. And her daughter, who is like elementary school age, has essentially been forced into the role of the mom. She's the one who's cooking dinner all the time. And the son is just super surly son boy because he's upset that his mom isn't around and that he's essentially feels abandoned.
Okay, so
and the jock is your typical like meathead jerk face.
Okay, so now we get to Dwight. Dwight's mad. He wants money from Zach. That's a quick school scene. Kyle, we go back to Kyle's house. Kyle is the winner of the Evolver home contest, and the mom inexplicably gets pissed off because she doesn't know this, and now Kyle will be spending more time at his PC. So the mom's reaction is just anger. I think she says, what does she say, Jonathan?
She says something along the lines of, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" So he had entered this contest. He wins. The company shows up, and of course this is kind of a media thing because it's supposed to be a PR move for the company. They show up to give him the Evolver robot, and the mom, who was not aware that there was even a contest, is pissed off that Kyle has apparently won it without telling her that he entered. And he's like, "It was a contest. The odds of me winning were really low. I didn't even think I was going to win." Not, of course, mentioning the fact that he rigged it so he would win. But
well, he broke in, and his best friend looked like he changed the scores because, as far as I know, Kyle didn't do it.
Actually, no. What happened was, so his best friend Zach, who's the sleazeball, he's another stereotype. He's the opportunist, the guy who's always looking to get rich quick. That's his stereotypical character. He was trying to convince Kyle to change the scores, and Kyle's like, "I don't know." And then the next day when Kyle is there and the company shows up to give him the robot, that's when Zach says to Kyle, "Oh, you changed the scores!" So the implication there is that our hero did, in fact, change things, but it all happened off screen because, as we all know, that's the most interesting way to present a plot point in your movie, is to not show it.
Okay, that's true. That does happen. I was just assuming he's being an ass to him and just saying like, "Ha, because I did it."
Well, that is also possible because at this point, I think it was when I turned it off for the first time.
I think at this point I'm reading too much into the thought process of the writers, and that's
you're making this way deeper than it should be.
All right, so the Evolver robot is unboxed. There's smoke coming out of the box as the box opens. This robot's got a red color scheme. Oh, it's like the Roomba. It bumps into things to map out the space. There's no laser mapping on this thing, so it's just whacking into objects. It's like, that's a terrible way to do it. And also, we're told it records everything to optical discs, which are to be sent back to Russell, the scientist. And everyone's okay with this.
Yeah, it's not creepy at all. Yeah, it's not just the game footage, right? It'd be one thing if the robot was recording whenever there was an active game going on, and even that's a little questionable because this is essentially a free roaming camera that can direct its gaze anywhere within the area that it's currently occupying.
And not to mention that these are physical discs that like have to be put in the mail, right? This is a high school kid. Like he's going like I don't remember the scene where he got self-addressed envelopes to ship these discs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so they say that you can't eject it prematurely. There's no premature ejection with Evolver. Evolver will eject the disc when it's full, and then it's time to put a new disc in and send the full one over to Q.
That's a very important plot point, actually. Thanks for mentioning that. So we've got Cassidy Ray shows up to Kyle's house. She got an address from her friend. Her name is Jamie Saunders. Finally got that.
Yeah, because after you have already screwed up someone's chances of setting a record, the best thing to do is go and see how things turned out for them, because clearly that's someone who really wants to see you in their life again.
Yeah, so the robot's over, she's over, they're going to play a game. So it's game on time. Evolver IDs humans as Enemy 1, Enemy 2, etc. Kids have laser tag style guns. Evolver shoots ping pong balls. I just realized the mom is the mom from Son-in-Law, starring Pauly Shore.
That was important. We all we had this discussion where that was if you tried to watch the last episode, this was the point where Eric and I both could not hear what Ayaz had said, and we asked him to repeat himself. I was afraid he had said son-in-law. And then he repeated himself and said son-in-law, Pauly Shore, and I said, listen, it wasn't that we're not familiar with Mr. Shore's oeuvre of movies. It's that we literally couldn't understand what you were saying.
I thought you guys were just shocked, because the actual scene where I recognized the mom is when the Evolver robot comes up to the mom in the kitchen. She's facing away at the sink, and he fires on her, And as she turns to yell at the camera, I'm like, I've seen that. And they did the exact same shot in Son-in-Law. I'm like, I've seen her yell at camera at this angle. That's the mom son-in-law.
Well, do you think they selected her for that performance?
I don't know.
They knew that scene was coming, and they're like, I've seen her do this before. It's good.
I want to tell you, Ayaz, I am not at all surprised that you are familiar with Son-in-Law at all. Not even a little bit.
Son-in-Law was a fun movie. I got it for free. I had a ton of rewards points at this at one of these things at school, and they're like, well, you can get a bunch of DVDs. So I got Coming to America, I got Encino Man, and I got freaking Son-in-Law, okay?
And that is the most 1995 thing that has been said during this podcast.
In the history of these two recreations.
Oh, and this is also where I need to say to comment on the design of this film so first of all, the fashion in this film is extremely early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, big blocky colors and crazy kind of like you think of like those kind of neon swooshes and stuff that you would see in late 80s, early 90s media. It just looked crappy as hell. It looked crappy then. It looks crappy now. The kid, Kyle, his room, it is the most nauseatingly 90s room you'll ever see. It's supposed to be like kind of dark and brooding because he's a teenager and he doesn't give a shit about anything. But it just turns out to look tacky and gross. Like you would never want to set foot in that room. Anyway, so we've got the characters who have their laser guns. We should also mention at this stage, Evolver, who the very first stage, level 1, has multiple targets on him, and they all are. They look like they're about, I don't know, about half the size of, or half the diameter of like a hockey puck. They're decent size, not tiny. And he uses the little ping pong ball thing, like Ayaz was saying, as his projectile weapon. So if you hit the target, you do a certain percentage of damage. He says 25 points, but essentially should say percentage.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he hits you with a ping pong ball, you suffer the equivalent amount of damage. And if he hits you enough, you're supposed to be dead. There's a problem with how the Evolver determines whether or not you're dead, because here's the thing. If you're shot with a ping pong ball, you won't actually die, but apparently Evolver actually says, like, confirm kill, but if you get back up, Evolver's like, well, hell, this isn't over, and then just toom, toom, toom,
kill
toom.
not confirmed, and that brings me to my next point. Evolver is a merciless killing machine. He guns down the little girl with ping pong balls. The little girl shouts to stop it. Now, Evolver doesn't stop. So I thought that there's your first instance of Evolver is not all good. Game level 2, the targets on Evolver get smaller. So they start off pretty big, and they get a little bit smaller. He has now Nerf missiles and a cannon on his arm, and he vacuums up all the ping pong balls around him to reload. I kind of like that little feature where he was cleaning up after himself, because otherwise, what a shitty robot.
Yeah, you also forgot the part where he starts using smoke grenades.
Wait. Oh, wait a minute. Does that happen in level 2?
That's level 2.
Oh, I forgot.
Level 2 in the house.
Well, he doesn't. We haven't gotten to the level 2 game yet, though, because they only play level. They play level 1. He evolves to level 2, but they don't initiate a new game right away because, for one reason.
Oh, that's true. We have to talk about the divorce. Both parents are divorced.
Right.
That happens then.
Right. Well, they decide not to go straight into the game because the little sister got peppered with ping pong balls, and they think maybe this robot's not totally working right.
So this is the point where my notes say, Audrey has had enough, me too, 22 minutes, 28 seconds. So I decided to take the dog out and say when I come back, I'm going to take a second screen. So I started writing some more notes when I start up here. So the boys hatch a plan to have Evolver spy on the girls' locker room. They call it Operation Snatch Snatch, which I thought was moderately clever.
This was where I became aware that this could not have possibly been a made-for-TV movie, because you actually see a couple of butts and a couple of pairs of boobs in this one, which is, by the way, super mega creepy, because keep in mind, these characters are supposed to be high school age. So presumably the girls in a high school girls' locker room are going to be fairly young, so this is really creepy. Now, granted, the girls you see in the girls' locker room look like they're in their 20s, but they're supposed to be high school age.
But here's the thing now. So Jamie, who is the lead girl, she recognizes the laundry basket because this thing is actually brought into a laundry, I guess, a cart. She recognizes the wheels of the robot.
Because they are actually, the robot's wheels are making contact with the ground. So the laundry basket is essentially just little 4 walls that surround the robot. The robot's bottom actually does make contact with the floor, so the robot can push the cart to and from its original position, and then it's got just towels draped casually over the robot with its 2 glowing red eyes still in full view.
So Jamie recognizes the robot by the wheels, but doesn't say anything other than like, oh well. The robot is then kicked out by some other girl. Evolver switches back into game mode, because that's what he does, and he's off to the men's locker room. Now, Evolver tries to get the bully, Dwight, to play a game.
Oh, wait, no. We have to address my problem with this scene first.
I have this in a parenthetical, but we can get to, we'll go linearly. Jonathan, please speak up about Dwight's butt.
Because this precedes the getting Dwight to play a game. The robot comes into the men's locker room. Dwight is showering. He's facing away from the camera, so we see his nude back, like it's head to toe nude shot of Dwight that goes for a really long time, like excessively long for this. And I think that the fact that we got so much nudity in the girls' locker room and then this excessively long nude shot in the men's locker room tells me that the film's director had some issues, some problems here. And the robot doesn't immediately go up and try to initiate a game with naked Dwight. The robot just stands there staring at naked Dwight. So the robot also has some issues. Then, when naked Dwight turns off the shower, my second problem with this scene is he grabs the world's smallest towel to cover himself. It doesn't even completely go all the way around his waist as he carries it. He walks over to where his locker is so he can put on his clothing. And I just thought, this scene is this pair of scenes, the girls' locker room and this locker room, are making me incredibly uncomfortable, and probably not in an intentional way.
I just realized, because I just looked it up, that this movie was rated R, and the only reason it was possibly rated R was for those 2 scenes.
Well, no, there's also
the
F-bombs dropped a few times.
Yeah, but you can drop the F-bomb a few times and still not get an R.
Well, not in 1995.
All right, maybe. I don't know.
All right, so
Did they ever say fucking Titanic?
I don't know.
Hey, check out the fucking iceberg.
All right, so Evolver shoots Dwight with a Nerf missile after inviting him to play. So Evolver is then thrown across the room by Dwight, which I found quite hilarious, actually.
Yeah, that was actually a really great moment.
Like, this guy picks up, and by the way, I haven't described the robot yet, right? We haven't described it. It's about like a 3.5 foot, maybe 4 foot robot. So it's not like it's a humanoid shape. It's like it's a almost like a trash can. Like an R2, imagine an R2-D2 with a lot more angles, okay? He's not exactly gigantic or threatening looking.
He's got one articulated arm that has like either two or 3 fingers and a thumb, opposable thumb, and then he's got the other arm that's the cannon arm, and he does have a bit of a head, an articulated head on a neck that can swivel, at least in levels 1, 2, and 3. Spoiler alert. And but otherwise, yeah, he's just kind of very sturdy, sort of. Basic
Jonathan
robot.
described him last night as he kind of looks like E.T.
Yeah, he does kind of look like E.T.
I think you described the movie like E.T., but he does kind of look like E.T. now that I think.
But he looks like E.T.
Yeah,
when he described it, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, when I said the movie was basically what you would get if you mixed E.T., the Terminator, and Lawnmower Man together.
Okay, so we've got Evolver gets up, and we see he has metal ball bearings as well as ping pong balls in his chamber. He shoots the bully in the eye. At this point, I realize
with a ball bearing.
But the ball bearing, so Dwight's freaking out. At this point, I realize I can write my notes on a computer, so fuck notes on a piece of paper.
I actually did like how he could rotate through his various ammo, because the ping pongs were lined up, and then it shows as he cycles through, like the circular feeding mechanism to his cannon rotates so that the next pellet up is an actual ball bearing. So I thought, well, that's actually kind of neat. There were little moments with the robot where I thought this is genuinely kind of clever, but they're very few and far between.
So my next note jumps over a giant plot point. So Evolver does kill Dwight, shoots him a couple of times with ball bearings, and Dwight falls down the stairs, breaks his neck, and dies. Anyhow, so we go to Kyle Baxter's house, where Evolver... they're having dinner. The Baxters are having dinner. Evolver threatens to kill Allie, which is the sister of Kyle, after watching someone threaten another person on television.
Well, we missed another plot point.
What?
Well, it's just that... So you just went from Evolver killing a guy to everyone being home and eating dinner.
Well, that's what happens.
Well, no. There was a short scene in between, because
what was that?
Zach and Kyle are waiting for Evolver. Evolver was supposed to have returned from the girls' locker room, having completed Operation Snatch. And Kyle says, "All right, I'm gonna go into the girls' locker room and retrieve him because something's gone wrong. We've been found out. Something's happened." And just as they're about to go in, Evolver shows up, and then they're able to take Evolver home. Because otherwise, how the hell does the robot end up at dinner, Ayaz?
Okay, sorry for leaving a plot hole in my notes. My notes are not meant to replace the movie, I might add. That's why you guys are here. That's also why we do this show, so you don't have to watch this fucking movie. You listen to our show is way more entertaining than this fucking movie. So let's get to this point where they're at dinner, shall we?
Okay.
Evolver threatens to kill Allie after watching somebody threaten another person on television. This has evolved into a less charming version of Thankskilling. Thankskilling destroys this movie if you want to watch a little thing torment like a family or a bunch of people. We'll get to Thankskilling a little later. So Jamie invites herself over to yell at Kyle about the snatch idea. Then they play a game of Evolver, and Evolver tries to kill Kyle. He fires a metal ball bearing at Kyle, but it's his reflection. Kyle finds the ball bearing. Kyle says Evolver must have gotten it from his room. So he puts all the blame on himself. He has no idea that this robot seems to have ball bearings that he fires at people.
Yeah, now to be fair, he's also not aware that Dwight was killed yet, right? He hasn't heard that news yet at this point, I don't think. So he does not know that the Evolver is potentially truly dangerous, because he just figured that there was something going on with the programming where it kept on shooting ping pong balls at his sister, but otherwise he hasn't had an indication that Evolver could be dangerous.
That's true right now. So level 3 game, another gun appears in the center of Evolver. Target gets even smaller on his shoulders. Thought that was kind of neat. Russell is watching back the disc footage. Seems to be a little distressed that the little girl is being shot at. Now we have Jamie playing detective to find out Dwight's cause of death, because they find out Dwight's dead. She's like, "I'm going into the boys' locker room," and Kyle goes with her. She's pointing at this divot in the locker, saying,
shaped just like a ball bearing.
Yeah.
And Kyle's like, "It could be anything. Anything." I'm not even making that up. That's what Kyle's reaction is. So now I'm jumping around. So if I miss a point, feel free to interrupt me like you guys have been doing this whole fucking time. Which
I'm going to.
We're at Kyle's house, and there's We're at Kyle's house, and there's a fire. Evolver's trying to load up on power. Is that what's going on right now? Zach, Kyle's dumbass friend, comes over and opens the back door with a hidden key. Zach is trying to get the disc from Operation Snatch using needle nose pliers. There's a pretty good gouge on the disc, so he pulls it out with these pliers and just kind of messes up the disc. He calls up somebody on the phone. He wants to print out pictures from the video. Evolver decides to laser target Zach, then disappears. Evolver grabs a circular saw blade, jabs Zach in the knee. Evolver's voice changes a bit right now. He starts to spin and throws the blade like a discus at Zach. Hilarious.
Now this is actually happening. Did you mention that Zach had actually taken Evolver away? They're actually at in a garage.
They're in Zach's garage.
No, they're at Kyle's garage, and Evolver kind of comes in and sees what's going on.
Wait, Kyle?
No, he takes him to his house. Zach takes Evolver away to his house because He wants to be able to retrieve the disc without anyone coming in, so he steals the robot.
So that's his garage?
That's his garage.
Oh, wow, totally missed that.
He gets killed in his own garage.
He doesn't get killed.
Apparently,
he doesn't get
or
killed.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so my mistake. So he shouldn't have brought himself to this death trap. So,
yeah.
Oh, wow, totally didn't have that. I thought it was still Kyle's house. So he steals the robot. It must have been doing something else, like writing a note. So, so after the circular saw attack, which I thought was pretty fucking awesome, sorry, saw blade, no actual saw there, Evolver grabs a hatchet and is stalking Zack. A hatchet.
He can shoot ball bearings with deadly accuracy, but this job needs a frickin' hatchet.
Evolver's got a point here. So Zack starts freaking out. He goes under a jacked up car, and by jacked up car, I literally mean a car that is on a jack. Evolver hits the jack and says game over. The car crushes Zack. Zack is very crushed into the car. Wait a second.
I like to say Zack smacked by jack attack.
That's a fact. So Zack's fingers are twitching very slightly, so we're led to believe that maybe he's not dead because like what looked to be an '88 Oldsmobile doesn't weigh much.
He's only mostly dead.
They're pretty light. Yeah.
On to
I think I drove an '88 Oldsmobile. I think that was my first car.
Was it maroon?
You heard it here first. Eric killed Zack.
It's true.
So we go on to the virtual reality arcade. Kids are playing the Evolver game very high. They're playing the VR game with the helmet.
It's just two of them.
Right. So Evolver is returning to home base because he's decided to go home base. We don't know where that is just yet. I'm assuming it's Cybertronics actually. But he recognizes the word play in the arcade sign that says Turbo Play. Because he's like, play? Turbo. Like he just goes right into Turbo Play, which is the name of the arcade. Evolver rolls into the arcade, then he identifies the two humans as enemies. He shocks one.
Yep,
kills him.
Kills him, electrocutes one of them. That was one of his new weapons, apparently. He can actually send killer amounts of voltage through his articulated hand arm, and he grabs hold of the guy who's not actively playing the game and electrocutes him, killing him. The other guy, since he's playing a virtual reality game, he's got the headset on. He is unaware that his friend has just been fried.
So that guy's shocked. He's dead. The guy playing the game in the VR helmet kills an Evolver robot in the video game. Evolver in real life doesn't seem to like this. He actually seems irritated because you can actually see on the screen what the person is saying. So he shorts out the VR helmet. The front of the helmet, that there's a giant black plastic, it blows out. The guy playing is so high that he thinks the in real life situation is the game. So he's looking through this plastic. He sees the little robot, and he's starting to think, okay, well, this is the game. It's just gotten way better.
Yeah, in other words, now that he can see through, because the back of the headset's been blown out, it has now gone from virtual reality to augmented reality.
Well, that's what something like that. Or like a huge graphics upgrade. So then, wait, my notes say, Evolver electrocutes the high guy by placing an electrical cable onto painted metal, because when you're in this VR thing, there's this little painted cage, or at least there's a metal cage. I thought painted metal doesn't conduct electricity. Jonathan, what's the deal with that?
There can be conductive paint. I mean, it all depends on, it depends on many things. It depends upon the consistency of the paint, how thick the paint is on the metal. If the paint is thick enough, then it can be an insulator. And insulation means that you're not going to get any electric current to pass from whatever to that metal. So it just depends on the paint. And I did not do my due diligence and research exactly what kind of paint these types of VR arcade systems used in the mid-1990s, so I'm not entirely prepared to answer whether or not this was accurate.
I await your article, however, based on this movie.
How Evolver works.
That's truly a question I had, because I learned this in automotive school. So if you guys don't know, I actually went to automotive technician school, so I learned how to do that stuff. And
was that before or after you became a lawyer?
Before. Okay. So I had a teacher, Mr.
It would have been way funnier if it was after.
I had a teacher who was like, listen, paint insulates, can insulate metal. And like, yeah, sure it does. So he took out a metal folding chair, hooked it up to a battery charger, clamped it on with 2 giant alligator clips, and he's trying to get the dumbest kid in class to sit in it. He's like, sit down in the chair, and the kid's freaking out. So he starts touching the chair like crazy and like, look, it's insulated. That was my lesson about that. that was a really good demo, and I assumed it was true. So
it is true, depending upon the paint and depending upon the thickness of the paint.
So I'm calling bullshit on part of Evolver. This part of Evolver. Never mind any other part.
The rest of it totally accurate, but this bullshit.
Let us just pass the disclaimer: do not trust paint as an insulator.
So we go back to, I guess, Zach's house, and Zach's being taken to an ambulance. Kyle goes into the garage, immediately finds the disc. He takes out Evolver's battery. That's genius. He immediately takes out the battery of the robot. Wait a second. Kyle puts an optical disc into a 3.5-inch floppy drive like a slot loader.
Yeah.
No.
He tries to pull up the information. That does not work, so he then has to take it to Q to see if perhaps they can pull off any of the info there specifically so that they can see if, in what way Evolver might have been responsible for these occurrences, and if so, how to, the fact that they would probably need to turn Evolver back over to the company.
Yeah, so Kyle goes into there, he talks to Q, and he's like, hey, what's up? And then somehow Jamie shows up. She's like, I heard Kyle's here. Let's go find him. The receptionist's like, cool, we got Kyle. So somehow Kyle and Jamie end up in a room together hacking Q's computer.
All right, so here's how I understand that happens. And this could be wrong because the editing of the film does make this confusing. Kyle and Q, Kyle and John Delancey, Kyle and Randall Bennett.
Russell. His name is Russell Bennett.
I know, I did it on purpose. All right, Kyle and Russell Bennett are trying to retrieve the information off the disk. Now, in the scene, I got the feeling that Russell is purposefully kind of stalling Kyle because he doesn't really want Kyle there while he's reviewing this footage. But at any rate, it's telling him that the disk is badly corrupted and damaged, and that it's going to take some time to retrieve whatever might be retrievable on the disk. So he essentially sends Kyle home, saying, "All right, well, I'll call you when I've got something, but it could take hours." So Kyle, quote unquote, leaves, and he starts walking over toward the front desk. He runs into, what's her name? Jamie? Is it Jamie? All right, yep, Jamie. Yeah. Jamie, who has tracked down Kyle because she's concerned about him. And she comes in, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" She says, I wanted to be a part of this. I wanted to help you out. And the two of them go right back to Russell's office. So Russell, who had been sitting there and had actually managed to finally retrieve some information from the disk, which was 78% damaged according to his computer monitor, has apparently decided to just take a break right at that moment. He's like, "All right, got it. I gotta go poop for 30 minutes. I don't know." He leaves. So he's not in his office anymore. No one else is in that office either. So Kyle and Jamie are able to go in and then attempt to hack the system. And Jamie had previously hooked up Evolver to his computer. He was just curious to see what the robot was running on. So very, very hacker mentality, right? The idea of, I just want to know how this works. I was totally on board with that. And while Jamie had been connected to Evolver earlier in the movie...
I mean Kyle.
I'm sorry, Kyle. When Kyle had been connected to Evolver earlier in the movie, he came across a file that he couldn't really access, but it was called Sword. And so then they get to Q's computer, to Russell's computer, and it's prompting them for a password. So of course he types in Sword, because if you're going to make a password for your workstation, you should definitely choose the name of your most famous project as that password.
Yeah.
So they hack into the system, they type in Sword as the password. It's a Department of Defense mission. The Sword robot killed everyone. The title.
On a training mission.
I have a title. This is the title of the episode already. It was Alpha Command Sequence Shutdown Phoenix 8 Delete. This command, by the one I just said right now, this is the command that shuts down the Sword robot, spoken by Russell Bennett after the other three guys on the mission were killed. Why not say something after the first guy was killed, Russell? I know it's a mouthful. Alpha Command Sequence Shutdown Phoenix 8 Delete. But say something.
I think we need to call this episode that same command and then just add the word Redux.
So we've got this movie is the shits even when you're surfing the web. Allie is now challenging Evolver to a game. Evolver grabs kitchen knives to load into his arm cannon. Brilliant. That'll stop that bitch, Allie.
Yeah. How dare you, precocious elementary school girl who makes dinner for everybody? I am going to cut you.
So my note here says, Allie is the 8-year-old who can cook and hasn't shown much evil. Evolver must know something I don't. Both Dwight and Zach were kind of assholes, so they kind of deserve to die. Allie, not so much. So Evolver misses his first shot with the knife. He misses his second shot with the knife. Allie tries a smart thing of saying, game over. Evolver does not agree by saying, quote, game not over. Not making this up. Evolver is now... Sorry, I jumped a huge bunch of stuff. Evolver is chasing Allie. Allie goes to the backyard and then gets into the pool.
Yeah, all right, so Allie demonstrates a fundamental lack of situational awareness.
She's 8.
She's also lived in this fucking house for a while. She knows they have a goddamn pool in the backyard. She runs into the... She clearly does not jump into the pool on purpose. She's running from the robot, looking behind her, and then falls into the pool.
Anyway, so Evolver, my note says, Evolver is firing knives into the pool. Yes, he is. Evolver sparks his finger together to show he can now electrocute the pool. Part of this newfound power, because Allie's in the pool, Evolver is holding onto a metal railing to show the pool is electrified. Allie is on a crocodile raft, or maybe an alligator, I don't know. Evolver shoots a knife into the crocodile raft, and so it starts to sink in a very even manner, because, you know, when you fire or you pierce a raft, it just starts to, like, deflate in this very even way. Not that you fall into the water.
Right.
So one of my favorite lines in the movie comes up now. Kyle shows up. He's here to save the day. He starts yelling at Evolver. Quote, it's me, enemy 1. Come on, man. Play with me. Which I just thought was hilarious. Because I don't know why it's funny, but it's funny. So Evolver is now defeated at level 3 because Kyle beats him.
Yeah, so Evolver lets go of the metal stepladder that goes down into the pool. Mm-hmm. That gives Jamie the chance to help Allie out of the pool. So Evolver has engaged Kyle for battle. They managed to shoot him so that now the 2 targets that were on his shoulders have gone away, and now he only has 1 tiny little target on him. And level 3 has been defeated.
So Evolver announces enemy 1's victory in a bitchy tone. That's what I have here, bitchy tone. Yeah. Kyle then kicks Evolver into the pool because Evolver's going to go to level 4, and no one's ever beat Evolver on level 4. This was the most simple, logical part of the movie where he decides, kick him into the pool. He's a robot.
Yeah, also you find out that the reason why the robot was suddenly active after he had taken the battery out is that Allie had decided to put the battery back in the robot. She was unaware that the robot was crazy and dangerous. She just thought that he had taken the battery out for some other reason.
After the robot had tried to attack her multiple times after.
But with
the
ping
first
pong
time
balls. Ping pong balls.
Well, yeah.
She should have been scarred for life for that one, but she didn't figure it out. So Evolver is fished out of the pool. The mom is blaming herself for something. She wants to be a family again. Hey, what happened to Allie? How is Zach? Who's liable for Dwight's death, by the way? Is it Kyle because he owns the robot? Is it Cybertronics because they made the robot? Is it Russell because he programmed the robot? Who gets sued in this situation, by the way? Because I'm very curious as a former lawyer. So we got Russell.
That's why I wait for your article, Ayaz, on that topic.
I believe they all are liable in different ways, by the way. So it's and the school itself is probably going to get in a world of shit. So
it's really funny because I just did an episode of the Forward Thinking Audio podcast that was about a similar topic about what happens if a robot commits a crime and who is considered to be at fault.
That's
perfect. We did a full episode on it.
So you don't need my article. You need his episode. So take that. Okay, so
Jonathan did it.
To be fair, though, Eric ran over Zach. So
okay, so far I've committed no atrocities today. Assuming I'm calling your article or podcast episode an atrocity. That's terrible. So Russell wakes up Evolver to find out what's up. Evolver then punches Russell in the face, which is just utterly hilarious. He takes his little cannon arm, I think, and gently turns, like, and Russell sells it like he's been hit in the face with a tank. It's just awesome. Then Evolver causes a car crash by pie facing the driver. He takes like his 2 fingers and his thumb, does this effectively to the driver, and pushes his head down. The van then like goes over another car, flips over.
Yeah, the car stunt was ridiculous in that it didn't seem to obey the laws of physics. The van behaved in a way unbecoming a van. It just did this crazy super duper flip and roll that that was obviously engineered. That being said, it was a practical stunt. So I was impressed that they put that much into a stunt for this film. It just was a stunt that didn't make much sense.
So Russell goes through a window at that point. When asked what went wrong, so Russell asks Evolver what went wrong. Evolver says, quote, nothing went wrong. Now Evolver is leaving the scene because he's got work to do. He leaves the back of the overturned van. He throws open both doors and walks away. Actually wheels away. Russell is trying to get Evolver not to finish the game. Evolver sucks up some gasoline that's pouring out of the car. Russell tries the Phoenix 8 delete sequence twice. The first time he says it, Evolver gives a sassy head shake, kind of like this. Then he says, with the second time, delete this, as he sets fire to the overturned van. Which, at this point, I'm totally on board. Okay?
Yeah, this is the point where this movie actually turned into kind of an awesome movie. So at this point, Evolver, his little circular ammo clip is filled with ping pong balls, ball bearings, and gasoline.
So yeah, he's quite the impressive robot at this point. So we've got the delete twice. We've got okay. So now Evolver is transforming into something. There's like all the kinds of like effects happening, and we fade to a moon. So we don't know exactly what Evolver's going to look like. Okay. So with Evolver's apparent deactivation, Kyle and Jamie are now dating. They're going to go make out, and Evolver's going to show up, I think. Apparently, Evolver grabbed some kind of power at a power station. What the fuck are they called again? Substations? Something like that. They're substations, right?
Yes. Confirmed. You're talking about a substation.
Confirmed. So we got Evolver at a substation. He's just trying to like just juice up on tons of power. So like apparently he's got limitless capacitors, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. Well, it would be both batteries and capacitors.
He's got something because he's constantly trying to get more power, which is a whole thing that's not really explained.
He can both store and discharge quickly.
That's true. So on the way home, Kyle sees the overturned van and tries to explain to the cop that a robot did it. The cop says, talk to someone at the precinct, which is incredibly reasonable, I think. Kyle doesn't have any of it, runs to his house. Now, we got a blackout at the Baxter house. Allie's freaked out by Evolver. Evolver is smaller and threatening to kill hostages if Kyle won't play level 4. By the way, Evolver can now shoot lasers.
Yeah, okay, so we had a discussion yesterday. You may or may not have been able to understand it, where I stated that Evolver getting smaller was something I actually liked because he presents a smaller target to be hit. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And I actually liked the transformation sequence, and I liked the way he looked at the end. His head gets retracted in, so now that's a smaller area. The target is just this tiny little dot on the chest that, presumably if you have one of the laser guns, you have to hit this little tiny dot, and only that's going to register as an actual hit for Evolver. I kind of dug it. What is weird is that Evolver has a couple of magical powers now that you don't really understand how these have happened. One is that stairs are no longer a problem. He can just fucking motor up and down stairs like nobody's business. When as before, a 1-inch ledge gave him pause. He would bump into it, stop, then be able to roll up onto it. Now he can go up full flights of stairs. Secondly, he sets up a laser gun in a crazy way where he apparently overpowers a simple little laser gun that technically should just be firing infrared beams, but sets it up so now it's showing beams of visible light. He's set up a beam splitter so that the beams split and surround the mother and daughter in a little arc of lights that are intense enough to start burning holes in the wall behind them. And that's where I began to think, who the fuck designed that laser gun? Because if you took a laser tag pistol, it wouldn't matter how much power you put into it. It physically cannot generate a laser strong enough to burn something.
Well, clearly, when they designed all of these weapons, since this was designed to be a military application, what they
They're
did,
all military spec.
They took the guns, right? That was clear. They were already capable of causing these laser cages, as I end up calling it, a laser cage. And what they did is they simply added the laser tag element to the pre-existing guns because clearly.
You don't want to be wasteful.
Exactly.
Right. They turned it down from 11 to like .01.
This was just like that. This is just like that range of GI Joe toys that fired real bullets. I remember those.
So now we have Evolver. He's chasing down Kyle and Jamie. Jamie and Kyle jump into the kitchen, and now Evolver. Here's my note here. It says, "Wait." He shot out a laser at a glass part of the door, and the glass explodes. Shouldn't that do nothing? Because it's light-based, so if it hits glass, either it's going to go through it or bounce back, or something else is going to happen, but the fucker shouldn't explode, because that's not the way light works, I think.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yeah, a laser going through glass would, there's going to be some reflection, or refraction, really. There's going to be some diffusion, but it's going to pass through the glass. I mean, presumably, if the glass has got enough impurities in it, it could absorb enough light so it would get hot enough to melt, but it's not going to shatter like that.
This explodes, and it's bullshit to me. So Mom and Allie are trapped by that laser cage that Jonathan mentioned, and yeah, it was a beam splitter, and the beam splitter in props department was basically a piece of tubing from a flashlight. It appeared that was painted silver. So then Evolver finally says the phrase, quote, "Don't fuck with me." This is unofficially a Thankskilling movie to me now, because this is basically now turned. You've got this little 3-foot thing that can run up and down stairs inexplicably. I still don't understand how it loaded the knives, even though it had an articulating arm. I don't know how it reached over to put the knives in and put 6 of them in, and now it can do the beam splitter, and now it's swearing. It's unbelievable. I mean, but it's not repeating a phrase it learned before. It's just saying a new one of "don't fuck with me." So Kyle finally gets the idea of getting something reflective, or so I thought. So he grabs a plate, and it turns out he made a bulletproof vest. Okay. Evolver thinks it beat enemy 1. Gloats. Evolver has won. He repeats over and over again.
Right.
He's so excited.
So Evolver has shot a laser at Kyle's chest.
Yes.
And this was the part where I was like, well, this is just dumb as hell, because we've seen Evolver shoot at a lot of different parts of the body, and a lot of them have been the head, aiming specifically for the head. So I don't know what gave Kyle the confidence that if I just put this on my chest, I'm going to be fine.
And the other thing was, like, I thought he had figured out it's a fucking laser. This is shiny. This will work as a defensive shield. No, it's a bulletproof vest. Why? Why not just grab as much shiny shit as possible? Like, that's the way it would have worked. But anyway, and Kyle seemed like he's a pretty smart guy. I mean, he was logical. Took out the battery.
Yep.
He threw him in a pool. Yep. And a lot of people saying game over. So lots of smart stuff there. So I thought he was going to do the smart thing. And now I have a giant jump here. It says Evolver's freaking out because he lost the game. Does anyone want to fill that in?
Okay, so he believes that Kyle is dead at first. He then, he being Evolver, detects that Kyle is in fact breathing, is about to dispatch Kyle, but gets distracted. Kyle gets up, shoots Evolver, and thus is able to finally defeat Evolver at level 4. Evolver gets emotionally upset at being defeated at level 4 because Evolver has never been defeated at level 4. And so you figure, all right, now the movie's over. But it's not over.
Nope. Now I have Evolver being beaten up with a bat at this point.
Yeah, Evolver initiates a bonus round.
Oh, that's right. He says bonus round, and it gets game on again. So he's being beaten up with a baseball bat. Evolver finally loses for a minute. Then he comes back like every other movie monster, chokes, like he takes his little 3 fingers and chokes Kyle, which I thought was kind of neat. Eventually, it appears that he breaks Kyle's ankle because like he just kind of pulls him off. Evolver starts saying the phrase, "Evolver never loses." Kyle shoots Evolver with a laser gun that was holding his family hostage. Evolver appears to have blown up. Now the CEO of Cybertronics pulls up. Why? There's no explanation. He just shows up to the crime scene, is mobbed by media. We pan up to the window and we find part of Evolver still blinking red. The camera is apparently on the floor in a roller skate because it's one of the shittiest shots I've seen. Evolver still functions, quote, on the screen, kill not confirmed, shown, static, the end. Then I said, fuck you, movie. Then the next note says, William H. Macy is the robot? What the fuck? And then $5 million budget.
Yeah, what was crazy is that William H. Macy wasn't the voice of the robot. He was actually inside the robot.
The fact that William H. Macy, and I did not pick out his voice. I mean, it's very distinctive. But then again, Evolver doesn't have a hell of a lot of dialogue with a lot of personality.
Yeah.
I want to listen back to hear the phrase "Don't fuck with me," and hear if I can pick up the William H. Macy. Can I hear the mustache?
Yeah. Now I gotta say, like I mentioned earlier, and like we all kind of agreed yesterday when we recorded this the first time. The last 15 minutes of this movie are bad movie entertaining, right? Like it's not entertaining in a way where you're like, this is genuinely a good film. It's still a bad movie, but it's the kind of bad movie where you're like, yes, this is what I wanted to see. The problem is you have to wait through the rest of the movie to get to that section, unless you're really smart. You fire up Netflix, just fast forward until you get to like the last 15 minutes of the film and start there, because you already know how the movie ends.
See, now
here's where the whole thing.
Here's where I argued that if not for this pacing, you don't get to appreciate Evolver's slow descent into madness, because he starts off and he's pretty chill and he's like, hey, you want to play a game? Let's play. Oh, you're going to throw me against a locker? I'm going to shoot your eye out and then throw you down some stairs. So he's kind of a badass. And then eventually he's like, he's not just sticking up for himself anymore. Now he's trying to take on Zack, because Zack took his fucking optical disc. You don't take Evolver's disc. Now his issue with Allie, I don't quite understand. Because maybe Allie's doing some fucked up shit that Evolver has been seeing because he's hanging around the house all day. I don't know. I'm not sure. But eventually, because once he gets to the don't fuck with me phase, something has seriously gone wrong. And when he starts freaking out that Evolver has lost and he's actually upset, he seems to be questioning himself, which is an odd thing for a robot to do. You can't appreciate those 15 minutes without the hour and 15 before it.
I think you're giving people way too little credit for their ability to appreciate a batshit crazy 15 minutes of that movie.
That was me trying to inject some kind of art to this bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it could have been like 30 minutes of normal, 15 minutes of insane.
I think, Eric, didn't you say that you felt like this could have been like an episode of Twilight Zone?
It could have easily been a Twilight Zone episode that was entertaining.
Yeah. Or Outer Limits or something along those lines.
Or Outer Limits, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I agree entirely. This felt like it could have fit into either an anthology film where it's one story out of a few, or like a television series. And like I said, for a while I thought it was a TV movie until the nudity and the F-bomb started flying around.
So at this point of the episode, if we're reenacting it, I try to look to my list because it's apparently my turn to pick the movie. Evolver was Eric's. Before that was Jonathan's beach movie. What was it called? Bad Girl Island.
Bad Girl Island.
Bad Girl Island.
Which was an incredible piece of shit.
Oh yeah. It was
an incredible piece of shit.
It wasn't just bad. It was bad and incomprehensible.
Well, that's why it's incredible. You couldn't believe how incomprehensible. It just could not be believed that somebody put this together. Anyway, so this movie that we watched, Evolver, was so shitty, and so was Bad Girl Island. I was just fearing the idea of picking another shitty movie like Don't Go in the Woods or Evolver or anything like it, because I'm just getting tired of it. Like, I would like to actually enjoy the movie, because when we started this, we were watching movies that were somewhat amusing and we could make fun of it, not getting bored out of our minds for the first hour and a half. So I looked at Netflix and I was like, well, there's obviously some awesome ones like Ghost Rock, where Gary Busey plays a cowboy. which is still on my list, so maybe we'll watch that. We have Children of the Corn 666, which is Children of the Corn 6, not 7. I know we watched 7.
We already watched 7.
Right, that's why I wanted to go backwards. There was Scorpion King 3, which could be watched 4.
Yeah, so we're just watching franchises the wrong way.
And I find that to be enjoyable. So Bloodsport 4 was another option, Smurfs 2. Then I saw this movie called Mercy Rule, which stars Kirk Cameron. And the tagline said there's no quitting family, and it's got the description: as a father and son learn how to be good teammates, whether in baseball or in business, their family discovers the importance of their faith. And then I saw the runtime. It was an hour and 18. Sorry, not hour 18. 118 minutes. So almost 2 hours. And I'm like, I can't do it. So after talking to Jonathan and after him giving me so much shit about never leaving any Lifetime movies to watch, I finally came upon Twist of Faith, starring Toni Braxton, as our movie that we'll watch for next week. 88 minutes, so it's a lot less. And here's the description: in the wake of tragedy, an Orthodox Jewish father wanders to a tiny Alabama town where the faith of others, though different, restores his own.
And here's the crazy thing. For all three of us, Netflix is predicting a very positive reaction. And it is quite possible that this movie, while being a movie about faith, which is not a subject I'm particularly interested in, I'm not a person of faith, I can appreciate a good story about someone who is on sort of a quest to restore his or her faith. I can appreciate that. And if it's told well, it can even be genuinely moving to me. So my hope is that this will actually be a movie where we watch it and we say, you know what? I never would have seen this had it not been for this podcast, but I'm glad I watched it. I want that to be the outcome.
Jonathan, first of all, do not hope for this podcast to make your life better. That's just, you are setting yourself up for disappointment.
We started out trying to make a podcast about making your life better, and
that may be true.
We abandoned it after 4 episodes,
and then we spent 40 being aimless. So I guess it's like 40 podcasts. There's something biblical there. Somebody figured that one out.
The 40 nights, yeah.
40.
So, but also as a means, because I believe in restoring karma and balance to the universe. If we are in fact going to watch a movie that could potentially be an interesting, entertaining, and perhaps moving film that we all three will genuinely like, despite our various approaches to the subject matter, because that is a possibility, I have already picked my next pick that will be the following movie, which is called Feng Shui, and it's a movie about getting revenge through interior decorating. It's a horror movie.
It's spelled Feng Shui?
Yeah, Feng Shui.
It's spelled that way. Okay, and is it a foreign movie?
Yes.
Fantastic. You
Yes.
definitely will bring order because the reviews are pretty good on this one, on Twist of Faith. Here's a good one. I love this movie. Made me have the full range of all the emotions. I love this movie. About 8 exclamation points, all caps. The actors were awesome. I love this movie. So it might be good.
Meanwhile, the Feng Shui movie, the synopsis is, when a boy who's grown inappropriately fond of his stepsister is rejected by his family, he enlists an evil Feng Shui master in his quest for revenge. And it's from Thailand.
Yeah. I can't wait for this one because I think my next movie is going to be a Steve Austin movie starring the wrestler Steve Austin. So
all right.
It'll be an action movie. I like dumb action too. But like I said Lifetime, I'm going to pick Lifetime. And that's what we're going to do.
Well, if this is going to hold true, if you pick Lifetime and then dumb action movies, and I'm picking really bad horror movies, that means our next movie from Eric is going to be another fucking awful family film.
I had a family film in my lineup for this.
Wait, so are you considering Evolver a family film?
No, I'm thinking back to the films that we have been known for picking, and the ones that I associate family films with you, because you picked A Talking Cat and Daddy Can't Dance.
Those are the only two, though.
But they were both spectacularly bad.
But they're the ones that we don't ever forget about. They're amazing. That's why I was looking at Smurfs 2. That's why I was looking at Thunder. What is it? Thunder and the House of Magic, starring a little kitten. I thought about it.
Oh,
whatever that is, that sounds amazing.
I was about to say that might have to go on the list.
It's CG though. An abandoned cat looking for shelter finds a mystical house owned by an old.
CG?
Yeah, sorry, it's not.
See, if it were live action, that would be like a definitive. We have got to watch this. If Eric Roberts voiced the kitten, then it's a foregone conclusion.
There's a great way to define movies. Eric Roberts. Oh wow.
The mark of quality.
You got Blink of an Eye, Hitman's Run, Amazing Glacier. Oh, sorry, Amazing Racer.
Amazing Glacier. It's still coming. We better move a little faster.
Move slower. Move slower. Oh my gosh, there's some real shit here. The Hot Flashes. Oh wow.
All right. Well, this has been an epically long episode because we took so much time explaining what happened to the last one.
This is a longer episode than the original one. It's higher. It has like 80% less Eric. So if you want more Eric, listen to the lost episode. We actually have one.
Yeah, and Eric is the only one that you'll be able to both see and understand.
Yeah, that's why it's 75% Eric.
Do you want to say anything in closing while we have you in this episode?
Eric.
Hey, what is going on here? Why are you focusing on me?
See, I think that anyone who would view this for the first time
is the worst setup.
Why did they not ever let Eric talk? And that is why.
So next time on Podcast Without Pretense.
Boy, I can't believe we have to do this a third fucking time.
You know what? Fine, fuck it. I'm picking a Bollywood movie.
Guys, it's been 3 hours. Like, we can't do this again.
You know what? Here's the next evolution of Podcast Without Pretense, and go with me on this one. The next evolution of Podcast Without Pretense, we just do the same episode over every week.
You know, I really was thinking about this for our 150th episode, which is coming up in 3 years from now. We rewatch Rock and Roll Frankenstein.
Oh Christ! For the 150th, when did you say it was coming up?
No, we're actually like episode 111.
Like 3 years.
Okay, yeah, because we don't record weekly.
No.
So that's all right. I can tentatively agree to that because I remember when I watched it that it made me feel so awful. I was glad I would never have to watch it again.
And that can happen. Like for the 150th, we can just like we will find our 10 fans, find a theater to go to in the middle of the country,
and commission them to run the movie.
Yeah.
Or we'll sit around a laptop. Fuck it. We're not even commissioning a movie. We'll sit at a diner and we'll watch it on
we'll be like,
laptop.
We would like to apologize to anyone who has any kind of taste, especially anyone who might be in the gay community for what we're about to watch.
Also, we'll watch on multiple laptops so that none of it's in sync. And we're all just using headphone splitters, so we're all a couple seconds away from each other.
I think we're on to something there. It's like those silent rave things, right? Or like those dance parties where they all wear headphones.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know when, and obviously this would break all the rules, but I want to revisit some of this shit. Especially, it's just Rock and Roll Frankenstein is like such a standout awful one.
Well, I want to rewatch that superhero one that was so amazing.
Black Knight Returns?
Yes.
Black Knight, yeah.
Oh, I have that in my lineup too.
Well,
I'm going to watch that.
That one and the what was the Thor one?
That was not available anymore. Adventures of Thunderstorm.
I bet you could. Well, probably hard to find actually.
We could also just release a completely illegal copy of Rock and Roll Frankenstein with us just being horrified over it. You know?
Yeah.
Because I don't think anybody's going to have the balls to sue us about that, because nobody's going to own up to making that movie. Nobody. And if they do sue us, they'll win. They're like, fine, take it down. Like, we don't want it there either.
That's true. The worst they could do is file a DMCA takedown.
So take it down.
All right.
Thank you for taking that down. It was horrible. And like,
well, this was a pleasure.
well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on this mission to not horrify the listeners. But yeah, when I heard it back, I was like, "Geez, it sounded so bad." Here's the thing, though. The episode was really good.
Yeah.
I am not building us up at all.
I think this one was too, and it's weird that now we're done and we're talking, and I don't hear Suncast popping in. So that's strange because I'm so used to that at this point.
You're like, that was terrible. We're like,
Right.
fuck you.
You know, you guys are consistently the worst series on our network.
Yep, that's us. So, and thank you for the viewers who stuck around. There's a total of 4 of you. If you watch this live, if you're watching this live now, we don't do this show on Wednesdays. We don't do it at 8:30 Eastern time. We normally do it on Tuesdays at 10:30 Eastern, and when we do it at all.
Yeah.
Which basically, if at this point, if I get a splinter in the course of, I don't know, 36 hours before the episode, I might not show up. Because I'm a giant. Just pick a word from Rock and Roll Frankenstein there.
Right. Yeah. The tough thing about this show is that we don't tend to want to do it if one of us can't make it. So that gives us 3 points of failure. We have occasionally done it when only 2 of us could appear, but that's dangerous because then we plot against whoever is missing out that day.
For that classic episode, find the movie. What the hell is it called, man?
It was the Acrobats.
The Acrobats. That's right. Yeah.
Devils. Yeah, the Acrobats.
Yeah.
So anyway, the story behind that is Eric and I did an episode without Ayaz because Ayaz had the temerity to go on Diamond Club to the Night Attack show, which airs exactly opposite our show, and decided to go on the show that actually has viewers, whereas Eric and I were left alone. So we made the executive decision, to assign a movie to Ayaz and not tell him that Eric and I weren't going to watch it.
Because we were absolutely certain that he would not watch the episode that we recorded.
All of that was recorded and published. Like the joke was completely out there to the point where anyone who did watch could have tweeted Ayaz and let him know what was happening.
Nobody did. It's called Flying Devils. I just found it.
Yeah, Flying Devils. So we told Ayaz that the movie we were watching that week was Flying Devils, and then the following week, Ayaz says, like, okay, so the movie was Flying Devils. How far did you get? And I said, Eric and I didn't bother watching it because we wanted to give it to you as punishment, and we broke Ayaz for a good 5 minutes.
I was laughing so hard. Now, a lot of folks think I get angry and I get super upset about shit. This made me laugh so long because it was so funny because this movie was so bad, so confusing. It was an Italian movie that was dubbed in English. One guy.
And we had to sit here for 25 minutes or something while you described this movie to
right,
us.
and I had to explain this thing to you guys, and you guys were like hearing it for the first time clearly because I don't even. Did you even look at the description when you picked it?
We didn't even bother to read a synopsis. It was like my 2 requirements for picking a movie for you was that I wanted it to be a foreign film, and I wanted it to have a really low ranking.
And its plot was ridiculous, and it was dumb, and it like even on my PWP profile, I have multiple profiles on Netflix where I rate movies that suck very highly, so it'll suggest other movies. For PWP, it's got for like 1 star. It's 110 minutes. It's a long-ass movie, and I watched the whole fucking thing. It was one of the best pranks that could ever happen. So I appreciate that. And I don't even know what episode that is. We'll fix the archives, and Eric will then send the links to all people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to stop broadcasting now.
All right.
Bye, live people.
Bye.
Cool. See you guys.